Use the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
And I did it again. I forgot to turn the volume down on the phone even after I disconnected it from the headset. But what's up, guys? Welcome back to FrostCast Wednesday nights live here on Winter Wolf's Den. I'm your host, Winter Wolf, and we're going to bring in King Z because I would not probably do this if he wasn't dragging me in here every Wednesday against my will. No, I'm just kidding. This is really fun. I do enjoy it, the hangout and the chit chat.
You will enjoy it.
Right? The beatings will continue until morale improves. No, I don't. Dude, this doesn't feel like a beating. This is. I think we're on a bit of a hot streak here with the shows that we've selected so far for 2025 and late 2024. So we've been on like an uptick, I think.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we did Penguin. We're right into this. Little skeleton crew in between. Didn't rate too high, but other things aren't rating high also. That's going to be one of the kind of our side piece topics to Daredevil tonight after we talk about episode 3. Just wanted to talk about some of the numbers. I've seen some concerning things, but when you look at them, with full context, you're like, it's kind of to be expected. It was probably bound to happen, about underperforming and only having as many views as certain other shows that we've lambasted.
Yeah. I think we should get into the review.
Yeah. No, we're gonna do the review first. We're gonna boot all the ancillary stuff to the side. So if you guys have not seen episode 3 of Daredevil Born Again, go check it out because all our reviews for this show will be spoilerific after we give the warning. This is not the warning. Just about to say this wasn't the warning, but okay, we got it out of the way early. She was quick on the trigger. That's good.
That's right.
The Oracle got trained up real quick on the spoilers. Everybody. Yeah, that's cool. It's a good thing we have that though, because I really don't want to ruin the show for anybody. I think there was some slow burn kind of spoiler things that happened in this episode. Some things that resolved quicker than I thought they were going to, and then shocking conclusion. Not really so shocking, but like. I don't know, it's like a 7 out of 10 shocking. I think I saw it coming about a mile away when dude was putting on a certain pair of white gloves. I'm like, all right, dude, he told you not to put the suit back on. But we'll talk about that in detail. But like I always do, and I just wanted to kind of get your take first. We're coming off positive vibes, exceptionally high positive vibes, I would say, for both of us for episodes 1 and 2. Episode 3 following right along, better, worse, up, down. Where you at?
So you can't really look at episode 3 in the 1-2 punch that we got with episode 1 and 2. Episode 3 was more story driven and it was more of a setup piece. So it's not in the same caliber as 1 and 2. Just 1 and 2 just jump started you right into the series. And this one's setting up for what the plot is of the series. As you saw in the first 2, really didn't set up the plot. That was more of just a setup for the series. And then now in 3, we're here and we're setting up the plot for the entire series. And we're seeing things starting to play out. And I think we needed this courtroom scene to start setting these things up, because as you see more and more, you're seeing Matt being pulled back in.
Good. Some of my if you notice now, both of our headline tags here are from that exact same scene, actually. Spoken by Hector Ayala's character, White Tiger. Definitely, it was interesting seeing that character have that chat with Matt Murdock. Obviously, it was not like it was like well hidden or only symbolic. Like no, it was on the nose. It was supposed to be. That he's saying all the things that Daredevil should be saying to himself, kind of thing, or things he was feeling. That was kind of cool. I just want to talk about the courtroom stuff just for the first couple of minutes, because I think you're right. The first 2 episodes gave us a reintroduction to the world, set up some personal stakes or personal kind of the baggage stuff that Matt was going to have to go to, losing a best friend so early on. Remember, guys, this is an extension of the other show from Netflix's version of Daredevil. This is really season 4, even though it has a different title. So it's not like they just reintroduced these characters and like rebooted them all into different things. Like, no, it's very much a 7 years, our time later, a year later for them or whatever it was, or next year, or however they did it. It's really an extension of that. So the court stuff here, went a little circle there. Sorry. The court stuff here is what I wanted from this show. I wanted to balance the throwing hands with the courtroom drama. I said last week, I think this is where She-Hulk got it wrong. She-Hulk leaned way too far into like trying to somehow drag like the culture war stuff onto the screen for whatever reason. I mean, maybe they thought they were going to be really funny with that show and pull that off. I watched all 8 episodes. I didn't think any of them were that funny, honestly. I don't think they had the writers didn't have the skill set to do comedy like that. But this is different. This is a show that's not meant to be taken for humor. It has some levity, but it's a serious drama. I thought it was going to do more with balancing the court and the Daredevil stuff, but I think we might be done with court because, as we already ran the spoiler thing, Matt has a pretty good courtroom stand with a couple of good minor obstacles that occurred and a pretty good setback at one point where I was like, oh my God, this isn't going to end how I want it to. But we got all that court stuff, and I don't think I think that's it. Like, I think this case is over. I'm not sure. We were just talking pre-show. Do you think Murdock's going to pick up another case against like a kingpin crony or something? Or was Hector Ayala one and done and this is it?
See, I really don't know. That's the part of like I'm excited about the show because it's not telegraphing that much of what the story is actually going to be. Like we've heard the stories and the leaks and like the pictures and of course the trailer. So we have some idea of what's going to happen, but we don't know the sequence in which it's going to happen. So that was one of the things. I have no idea if they're going to pick up another courtroom. I'm going to say yes, just because they have to keep that story going with him as a lawyer, the new lawyer who took over Fawlty's position in the law firm, as well as his relationship with Heather. I think this is all going to play like a big go round, and we will probably see Matt Murdock back in another courtroom.
I mean, I hope so, man, because I'd like it to be something big. Like, I'd like it to be like, and this is just pie in the sky, right? I'd like it to be something big, like Fisk gets charged with something, so Murdock has to defend him. Well, I don't like. I'd love to get him in there because then you could get the girlfriend therapist on the stand to either testify on Fisk's behalf, which would throw some wild divide between she and Matt Murdock. I think there's some opportunity to do some cool stuff there with cases. I don't think we're gonna see him do case of the week like something from Better Call Saul, where like it's just gonna be some other random junkie that gets picked up on some whatever weirdo charge. I don't think we're gonna get that. I think
no, because Matt
bigger things.
Matt has a thing. If you even go back to the very first episode, he only defends people he knows are innocent because it's easy to just tell the truth. And of course, he has his human lie detector going on. So no, it's going to be a bigger case. I do not believe it's going to be the mayor on trial. I do believe it will be someone in like Punisher type feel, another vigilante type thing.
I would agree, but they can't do Frank again, right? I mean, let's assuming it's the real. We know Bernthal's on the show, so I don't think that's just gonna be like flashbacks or hinted ats or anything like that. But I don't think that they're not going to do that. They did that line, right? That was the entire point of like season whatever of whichever show 2 of Daredevil or was of Daredevil. I always get it mixed up. Yeah, man, they can't go back to that well. So I mean, I think that it's going to be interesting to see if we get the court stuff because it gave me little shades of like when I used to watch Law and Order SVU. Like I enjoyed some of that, the courtroom stuff, the closing statements, the objections sustained. Like I like that stuff in dribs and drabs. That's cool. And on that opening court scene, I like that they built in some drama almost right away where we know that the dirty cops are going to try and take a poke at his witness. So they get you all tensed up like, oh no, someone's going to pull Cherry over and they're going to get them both. And, he's not going to make it to court, but the van's empty and, they brought him in a cab. So you're like, yeah, we got our guy. But then he folds.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh snap. Didn't see that coming. I mean, if you were astute more than I am, everybody probably saw that coming, but like, it was fun to have on that little back and not this way, back and forth. I thought that was good.
We also in that scene we got to see a better picture of the tattoo because it was on the guy's neck.
I saw that.
So you can see that it's not a true Punisher tattoo. It has something in the skull, which I couldn't make what that out.
Barcode or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looked like a barcode or a QR code.
Yeah, look, it's definitely not Frank's. It's nothing that's ever been the skull on his chest kind of thing. And as the ending reveals, it's definitely not the same symbol that I saw. But no, I like that court drama. I even liked it, and this is just me because I like the Better Call Saul kind of stuff. I liked when the judge, after Matt had to like call the audible and just reveal Hector, and this is my only sticking point, he should have asked him. Hector Ayala wasn't wrong. You could have asked me, bro. You could have asked me.
And the thing is, they didn't just do that. They had that scene where it wasn't just something he did, and then all of a sudden he just good with it.
Yeah. But what I like there is it was well intentioned and well written. Like when they went to go visit Ayala's wife, Cherry found the costume, so he obviously stole the costume. Then that way they could have that for whatever reason. Ace in the hole. It's kind of like on The Office when Jan brought Michael's diary to the lawsuit meeting. She said, I was only brought it if I had to use it, but like you brought it because you knew where it was, and you brought it anyway before you knew it was gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like you were already acting one way. But I did like that they at least set that up. But I liked that it had that dramatic shock value. He pulled the hood out of the bag and he was like, so yeah, he's White Tiger, and here's the list of people that he's helped, including police reports. Where like cops are like, needed him. He backed me up. And he
pulled the guy off of me.
Right. Help me arrest and subdue and all that good stuff. But I liked also the DA punching back and being like, yeah, great, he did cool shit. And it was kind of a dirtbag move, but like I like dirtbag DAs in these shows. That's his job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's his job. His job is his job is to get the conviction.
Yeah, his job need to be out there talking about we need to establish some motive for this charge though, because really you came up kind of short in that department, counselor. If I could be so bold.
This should have never gone to trial if it wasn't a police officer being killed. It would never have gone to trial because it was weak. It was a he said, she said. You can discredit both of their statements, and then there was no evidence that he pushed. I thought Subways had cameras, so I thought
I was just going to say that.
Footage.
I was going to say that last week. If they had set this show in 1980, fine, it's a he said, she said. But it's 2025, bro. There's camera footage every 15 feet everywhere in America. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a fact. But you got to suspend some disbelief, and that's the thing. That could have been a throwaway line if they needed it. Cams were down. Shit, we were just talking pre-show about IT being IT.
Yes.
So they could have worked that in. But as they were reading the charges off in the court, and they're like, murder in the first, not guilty. Murder in the second, not guilty. When they got to that manslaughter charge, though,
I thought it was going to be guilty on manslaughter. I thought he was going to get on manslaughter because it was
for sure. Because there's a dead guy, like somebody died.
And he did get involved in something that wasn't his business. So
right, yeah, and they could have threatened, but I think that's a compelling enough kind of back and forth that Murdock had with the DA, where he's like, I don't know. The cops said they flashed their badges. He's like, nah, bro. I just walked down there and saw somebody catching an ass kicking, and this is what I do. So I thought but I like that entire first block of the episode. I thought was pretty solid, where it looks like they're going to lose their witness. They get the witness, and then the witness caves on them. We get Hector's reaction to kind of the bullshit story that the dirty cop is telling up on the stand about what didn't happen. You can see he's starting to get the deep breathing going on a little bit. Matt has to kind of be like, you can't react. Your shit together, or they're going to see all that and think that you're a psycho or whichever. So I thought there was good bits there. I also like the part where the dirty cop goes up to Murdock and he's like, blind lawyer that can fight. So apparently he didn't die.
No, and no TBI.
Don't get it. I don't know how he's not taking his next several years of meals through a straw, but okay, whatever. He bounces back quick from that complete destruction of his face. I don't know, man. I went back and watched that replay. That dude ate floor, dude. All the floor. I don't get it. And they didn't bother showing the guy that went with him. Maybe he died. I don't know.
Maybe he died, or
maybe he died, but they didn't charge
him in the hospital.
Right? Dude, that cop didn't slink somewhere and be like, dude, the blind guy beat up my new partner, beat the crap out of us both. I don't know. Gotta let it slide.
How do you how can you say that? The blind guy beat me up.
The blind guy beat us both up
at the same time.
Right. And Charlie Cox looks like he's probably in good shape, but what is he? Like 5'9", 160? Like, yeah, no one's buying this story, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, the whole blind thing probably would have gave them a big wrench in their plans there.
Blind Batman or something, like he went all raid redemption on me in this apartment, but he had no idea where I was. Okay. That all tracks. But we
had guns.
Dude, and we had guns and we were going to shoot him. Like that's the thing. It's too bad one of them didn't go off, like obviously in Miss, you know what I mean? You could have had all that forensic-y stuff, would have been fun for Murdock to taunt them with. That could have been kind of cool, you know. So what do we get after the court stuff? We get most of that kind of goes down, stretched out over the episode. We get some stuff with Fisk and his wife because there's some bubbling going up in that therapy session for sure. That relationship's not long for this earth. Believe that. Tell me a little bit about the Kingpin and his wife.
So earlier we saw like a shipment getting jacked and the drivers getting killed, and it looks like there was a test between the Italians and the Russians.
Yep.
And she sent her guy down there to take care of it and had reparations paid of 1.8 million for them hijacking. And Fisk was sitting there and he's like talking about like, why are you doing this? And it was like, you're trying to silence me. He's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. It's like he has a bigger vision, I think, of what he wants. And
he said, I got higher goals. We're aspiring to higher goals or something.
Yeah. And like wants her out of the business that made them all their money and all their power. And she's like out, but trying to handle things to keep the peace. And he's like, we need chaos. Like he's trying to get something to happen so he could come in, I think, save the day type thing. Yeah. So yeah, there was some very disagreement moment right before they start their therapy session, or pick back up this therapy session as Heather comes back in to finish.
I like that you can see, I like how the Kingpin's wife is kind of being put out there. She's still calculating the cost of those businesses, because they were talking about, I think it was a painting or something, and she thought it's valued at this, which means I could move this amount of money through this sale kind of thing. So she's calculating like the pros and cons and like the gains they could make. Like she still has that seat at the head of the table. So that's what got him into the argument, is they were like, somebody needs to be in charge of these fools, or else chaos happens, like you said. And then he said, Kingpin made the remark, they're rats at the bottom, let them kill each other, like whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then she very wisely and astutely points back out, well, who do you think they come for when they're all like, after when there's like the last one standing? Like, where do you think they go? They come after us. So maybe we should sort that shit out. Nature abhors the power vacuum kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I like their dynamic, and I like that she's still mentioning Adam, like the ex-lover, I guess, but who I don't think we haven't met, right? It's not anybody we've seen. Like, am I asleep on this one?
No, they have not introduced who Adam was.
Okay. And maybe is that a holdover maybe from the previous series, and I just don't remember there? Maybe that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't remember Adam in anything, but I didn't watch Echo, so
nope. I don't remember any. I don't think the wife was on Echo. I don't think, if I remember right, because Kingpin wasn't even in every episode there. And I'm not going back to watch Echo. Echo was terrible. There's no shot. There is no shot I go back for research purposes of watching Echo. Not a chance. I would have to charge myself with the hate crime ahead of time. Can't do it. So yeah, they did the Kingpin stuff here. We think we covered that pretty good. Not a lot came out of that. This is a big episode from Matt in court, and Matt working with Cherry and working with Kirsten on the defense. They took their setback where that they lost in court when the criminal informant witness fell through. I wonder if that gets picked back up later. I wonder if Matt pays him a visit later in a different suit. That might be interesting. Yeah.
As I said, this whole episode was to get Matt back in the suit. You had the setback in episode 2 where he had to fight the 2 cops. Then you have the court victory, but then his court victory is going to be shallow because what happened. He had the talk from him, so he's going to have those words that's going to be resonating in his head, because he died in his suit, doing what he says who he is.
Well, let's back up and talk about that. We're talking what Kingsley is talking about, guys, is halfway through that heading into court. I think heading into the other verdict is when the conversation happened, right? And Matt is in the cell with he's in holding with Ayala, and he's talking to him. It's the scene about, you should have told me that you were going to go there and put out there that I'm White Tiger. And then they have this back and forth that both of our little taglines are drawn from, where it's basically Hector Ayala speaking things that Matt Murdock has probably said to other people before about why he is Daredevil. That it is a calling, it is who I am. And then Murdock says, you can contribute in other ways. You don't have to do this particular thing. You can't put the suit back on. And then Hector tells him, the mask doesn't make the man. Like, it doesn't matter. And he gives him basically the speech, about because it was the right thing to do, which of course comes back into play as Matt was talking to him in the courtroom previously.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to see all those things circle back. That was a good conversation between the two of them. It was a little on the nose, but it's better than anything I've seen in any of the other shows. Like, we get these other shows and they try to approach these types of scenes with some gravitas, and it feels like it's stilted somehow, like it's written by amateurs and not really ever punched up by anybody with any kind of talent.
It doesn't feel like
it
doesn't feel like a conversation. It feels like a lecture.
Right.
When lesser writers do it. I think the writers on this one took it more and kept it as a conversation type thing instead of him lecturing Matt. Like, he doesn't know Matt's Daredevil.
Right.
But so it wouldn't be him lecturing. So it would be a conversation about who he is. So he's explaining his feelings and stuff like that, instead of him lecturing Matt, who still doesn't want to put the suit back on as he made a promise to himself when Foggy died. So that's how this came off as a conversation, where in like lesser shows, you would get him straight lecturing him and like he knew who he was.
Right. I think another kind of telltale sign when the dialogue isn't hitting right, you can tell that like it's when people that don't have, maybe it's just an experience thing, where people that don't have the experience to know that real life conversation isn't always a back and forth that resolves a previous question before like the next thing comes up, and you get like a half answer, or you get like a redirect, or somebody goes off on a tangent. You know what I mean? You get those kind of experiences when you talk to people. It happens to me all the time. I know I talk circles around people. It's what I do. I'm a motor mouth, so it's not just a text message, one. It doesn't work like that. It almost never works out evenly like that in like an actual conversation. That scene between Hector and Matt in the cell, it didn't even last that long, but I feel like they conveyed enough about both men's internal struggles at that moment about, what do you mean I can't put the suit back on? Of course I'm going to put the suit back on. Like, he basically told you he was going to do that.
Yeah.
That's why the ending, I'm like, oh, buddy, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
And that's the only last thing we really have to talk about is the big reveal at the end. As he's walking down the street, he hears someone yell. He looks, he starts heading down an alley, and he passes a homeless man. And homeless man takes him out. He turns, holsters his gun, and you can see the big white skull on the front of his shirt, but you can't see his face.
But no face. So I'm not sure this is Frank, because, and maybe this is just me having like memory hold the old shows. Did Frank make a point of taking out vigilantes who had been killing scumbag cops?
No,
that's kind of the Punisher's thing, is killing corrupt fucking people.
Yeah, killing corrupt people or people who made it through the justice system.
Right. So but he was found not guilty by a jury of his peers. So he made it through as intended. The system actually worked. It wasn't a mistrial. It wasn't thrown out on a technicality.
Or it wasn't the high-priced lawyer who paid for the
right,
jury.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like nothing. There was no shenanigans. I'm not sure that was Frank. I'm not sure I buy that.
So this is where we should get into the speculation part of our conversation, is that I don't believe that it was Frank. And if we go back to the trailer, you see that Frank and Matt are arguing in that. Like they're pushing each other around what looks like the locker room. And I think that's what they're arguing about, that he believes that it was the Punisher doing it. And not
the trailer you're talking about. Cool.
And he's having that, they're having that confrontation.
Well, and this is the thing too. Like we were talking pre-show about this a little bit, and then I think we opened with a little talk about the not Punisher tattoo. Like, I'm just going to call it barcode tattoo. That's what I'm going to call it. Right? Is the B plot to this show to get the Punisher back in going to be him going after dirty cops that are using his symbol? Because I think that storyline is a modern run of the comics. Like, I think he's had an entire big ass arc on that. And that's why Marvel at one point had him change the logo, is they were so pissed that, like, and I'm not saying all cops were dirty in real life. I'd never say that, but they were so butthurt that like cops had adopted the mark of a vigilante in real life, that the Marvel editors made them change it to that stupid thing with the horns on it. which we haven't seen in this show yet. It's in Marvel Rivals, which annoys me to no end because I like that character in the game. But they've done the dirty cop thing and the Punisher going after cops thing, which is fine. But like, keep your skull, bro. That's who you are. Superman doesn't change the S because some other dickhead co-opted it. You know
I talked about in our the last review video was that I believe it's part of the anti-vigilante task force.
Mm-hmm. And what you were saying earlier led into that a little bit too, where you're like, the Kingpin wants to control the city, but he knows that he needs to burn some of it with some chaos first, so he can bring in those guys on his payroll. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the clamp down. So.
And also on the show you have that scene with him with BB.
We forgot all about that.
Yeah, where he was pretty much saying that the justice system got it wrong by letting him out, and I think he was just mad that it was a vigilante who got freed, and that 100%. It wasn't the system working. So I think this is what's going to fuel the people versus the vigilantes,
which we can, which I'm down for. That would echo some X-Men kind of stuff, where people get all stirred up by certain right-leaning senators and those kind of movies against all mutants, even though clearly fucking the X-Men have put it on the line for them like in 10 films. You know what I mean? Somehow, some way, we still get whipped into a tizzy over mutants because some of them are good, some of them are bad. I don't mind that. They can do that for this kind of story. That'll work out fine. We were talking about her last week, the BB character. I like her, and I like that they brought back that idea of putting her on the street as like a reporter on the street vibe, where she's interviewing, is New York safer? What do you think about this? And she's talking to people that look different, that sound different. So you get a cross section of New York's political.
Yeah, the whole man on the street type news.
So I like the BB report. I usually don't like that in shows, especially when they feature like Zoomers or millennials or whatever we're on now, Generation A, whatever we're on now, because they always dial those personalities up to like 15. She's just a kid with like a fucking cell phone, just like asking questions. Like, perfect. Leave it at that, because then you don't push me away from like fast forwarding through your segment of the show. So she just had a really quiet scene with Kingpin. She had her phone recording him on the desk, and he said exactly like you said, the system got it wrong. I think I would know. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, well, you would be the guy that would know. You know what I mean? And it was a good use of her character. But I also liked when Kingpin followed up on his saying from last episode, let's keep her around. Let's use this. You know what I mean? She could be useful to us. And he sends his scumbag guy to go reach out to her when campaign ladies like, we have people at the Times. We don't really need to go to YouTube on this one. So it shows Fisk again. He's the smartest guy in the room, which is solid. I like that. I did like that. That was pretty good. Yeah, but the ending was a punch. The ending was a punch. I guess that magic amulet don't make you bulletproof. Home slice. I don't know.
No, it just gave him enhanced strength and agility.
All that shit. Cool. Maybe you want to invest in a Batman cowl. You know what I mean? On that respawn. I don't know.
Well, there is no respawn.
Might have been good. There's no reason for that guy, man. No shot. Like that. He bit it. He bit it. But so I didn't watch any trailers for next week. I don't think they do them for this show, do they?
No, it's Disney Plus and not HBO.
Yes, I keep forgetting. I was pretty sure I scrolled through the end of the timeline just to be sure, because it's like, oh, I'd like to see what's coming up next week. Is it a court case? Is it Matt on vacation? Who knows? Like, well, what is it? What's it going to be?
Yeah, they won the big case, and now he's on his way to the Bahamas. And
we want a big case that was pro bono, so no one not going to the Bahamas. There is no money coming in. But I'll be interested to see what they do. And why don't we tell everybody here? Next week is a standalone for episode 4, but then the week after that, episodes 5 and 6, you get the double banger in a night. So 2 Tuesdays from now, you get 2 episodes. You get 5 and 6 in the same night.
Yes,
and I think hopefully that means a big block of story.
Yeah, and what we were talking about is like they're probably doing that because Andor comes out in April, and it's also coming out on Tuesday nights. So they're probably doing this to wrap it up before Andor starts.
And their release schedule, if I remember your graphic from last week, because we found out that was an accurate graphic, right? They're doing some weird format for Andor. Where they're dropping
three drops. It's 4 weeks, right. 3 drops, or 3 episodes each week.
I was going to say it's not 1, not 2, but 3. Like you're getting like a movie and a half until that one's out of the pipe completely.
Yeah, and it's 4 weeks long.
Cool. I'm gonna be busy for that. The only other thing I wanted to talk about Daredevil tonight was the was its opening 5-day numbers for episodes 1 and 2. Dude, not good. Like, I think it was outpaced by the Acolyte and Agatha all along.
Yeah, they both
Disappointing.
outperformed. I think it had 17 streamers on or 17 million views its first week out.
Oof. Yeah, and that was global. It wasn't just US. Like, and that's the problem, is that there's just not eyes on this show. But so this brings us to like the debate question then, right? It's people. I've seen people, and we know which camps they're aligned with. It's typically not ours, right? They're taking some kind of victory lap that the show doesn't have viewers, right? And I'm like, you know what? This is from the Wolf's perspective. The difference of perspective here is, you know what you don't see about Daredevil? 6 trillion channels making videos on how fucking terrible the show is. You don't see petitions to get it canceled. You don't see any of the stars backlashing against people that do have negative sentiments. You do have people like us that are making videos with positive coverage that have seen the show. You know what I mean? And I think that when you put everything in context, it tells a big difference. We already know this show has already been greenlit for season 2. That's a thing. You know what I mean? It's not greenlit for anything. The Acolyte's never coming back. That you guys can forget about that nonsense. That's not happening. This one is, but so I wonder. So to make the long point short, is this the Andor? Is this Marvel's Andor? You know, did The Last Jedi break so many people that they didn't bother watching Andor? As all the other Disney schlock MCU crap on Disney Plus, has that ruined this format for the company?
That, and I think a lot of people are cautious. We were coming in with cautious optimism going into this show, wondering if they could pull this off as well as Netflix did when they had the rights. And I think a lot of people are holding back, waiting for some of the people like us, or of course the bigger channels, put their reviews out, people who they trust, and tell them that it's good before they go and watch it. And of course, there's always those people who are waiting for like 3 or 4 or 5 episodes to already be out before they watch all of them, because they don't like waiting week to week.
That's a good point too. That is a great point. It was discouraging as somebody that's enjoying the show to see that the 5-day opening, I don't even think it was 17 mil, like I said. I think it was 7 million. It was down. Mm-hmm. It was not a big number. But again, like, you know, it's people that can't argue context and nuance that always get under my skin, man. Where if you're gonna try to take a victory lap or a dunk on me that a show like Andor doesn't get views, and be like, see, it's just as bad as Book of Boba Fett. I'm like, you really think you can put these two things next to each other and do an honest juxtaposition and come out saying that? Really? Like, is that a thing you think you can actually say in good faith? Because I don't see it. Like, I honestly don't see it. And the other half on top of that would be, we've talked dollars on this show. It's not our focus. We're not finance guys. We're not market guys. But we know how to do simple division. And we know when we divide $280 million by 8 episodes of The Acolyte, you scam. Daredevil did not cost them $280 million. So even if it doesn't net Game of Thrones or Stranger Things or Wednesday levels of viewers, there's no shot that this hurt them. I can't imagine. Not on that level anyway.
Well, one of the things, and you've talked about it before, is like with streaming services, are you subscribing for shows like The Acolyte or Agatha all the way?
Yeah.
But and it's like, no, but I do believe people would subscribe to see them do Daredevil and to see if they could pull it off right. This type of show would bring people back. And like I said, we will see that the numbers will rise week to week. Even those first couple episodes would get more streams later as people get the word out that this show is actually good. They've put their work in. They put their money where their mouth is. Yeah. They're listening to what they were talking about when they did, what was it, D22 long time ago, where they said that they're going to be.
It was 22 because 23 was. Oh no, it might have been 23. It was 23 was last year, so they would have talked about Daredevil at that.
Well, I was talking about the one before that, where they said they're going to be pulling back projects.
Oh yeah, no, that was,
and work on quality. Work on quality, not quantity. Right. And that was right when they started the whole reshoots for this one, and they started, scrapping what they did, and then started reworking the script when Charlie Cox and Vince D'Onofrio started taking over. Like, no, we need to put this in here. We need to put that in there. Because the one thing this show didn't need was sad Matt right off the bat with Foggy already dead. You need to see what led to Sad Matt.
Dude, that would have changed my entire perception of the show, but it did lead into some interesting conversation that I wanted to ask you about. I actually made a flag to myself to ask you about this. People I've seen that otherwise would enjoy the show, I think, because I think that quality wise, production value wise, it's solid. It doesn't look crappy except for some bad wire foo in that first episode, which whatever, like I can get over that for a TV show. I'm okay. Movies can't do that. You can't screw up movies with that stuff, but shows I can do. But some people's criticisms of this show were because this isn't a relaunch where we're just doing Daredevil again, and it is a season 4 effectively of something they've already watched. Some people were pretty hurt, or hurt's the wrong word. They were upset that where this show picks up didn't do Karen or Foggy justice because they weren't around long enough. And they feel like they were fridged to a degree to get the ball rolling from Matt here. And kind of as an adjunct to that, people were kind of miffed that some of the other characters that played prominent roles in season 3, I think we talked about her briefly before, how Matt's mom is one of the nuns that was at St. It was either St. Mary's or St. Catherine's, wherever it was. I didn't even remember that she was on the show, but there was a nun on season 3 that I guess had a pretty prominent role. And we haven't seen her yet, doesn't mean she's there, but you'd figure that person would be around for a significant event like Foggy's death. So people were kind of shaken by that lack of continuity between 3. But I'm like, dude, it was 7 years ago, man. They need some kind of clean slate. So I guess it didn't bug me on that level. But what do you think about that, about maybe squandering Karen and Foggy for that initial shock value, which we both liked? And I thought it was good because it punched me right away. I was okay with it.
I don't think they squandered it. Like, you always hear about when should I start reading this, or where do I pick up this? Especially it's big with Brandon Sanderson, the Cosmere. Where do I start reading? So here you have the where do I start watching, and you have a good jump on point here. You don't for you to understand and enjoy what's happening. You don't need to know who Foggy and Karen are because they were only that 15 minutes. That was for the fans who crossed over to Disney Plus from Netflix to watch this series. That was for them, and that was for the creators of this, because this is their baby and they wanted to do it the way they wanted to do it. Especially Charlie Tots and Vincent D'Onofrio thought it wouldn't hit the same unless you saw that death.
Oh, 100%.
But the way they portrayed it for all the new viewers is you do know that Foggy is important to him, because the way they outlined him through that 15 minutes and how they're trying to having their little meet at the bar. Jesus. And just the way he reacted. Yes. And like how Karen reacted. Like, you don't have to have their whole backstory to understand that these 3 people are very important to each other, and they just watched one of them die. Or did they?
We'll get into that in 1 second. Just wanted to kind of I wanted to piggyback on your thought with another Star Wars thought. I thought everything you just said was a perfect encapsulation of why on additional watches The Force Awakens is kind of a dud, because when we lose Han, we get robbed of any meaningful reaction except Chewie screaming for like 5 seconds. We don't get Luke's reaction to that. In this, we saw when Foggy died in real time, Matt has like a borderline psychotic existential break and decides he can't be Daredevil anymore. That alone sold me on the calculated tactical use of a major character death, because they gave me that. If it had just been like Foggy, they just fade to black on the street and Foggy bleeds out, and then it goes to 1 year later, I'd have been like, come on, bro. Come on. Like you put the buffalo wings in front of me, and then you took them away.
And it didn't just break Matt. It broke Karen too.
Oh, yeah.
Foggy died in her hands, holding the blood.
Blood was on her face.
Yeah.
Right.
And it broke her so much she had to go to another city. She had to
across
move
the country.
Too. Yes, on the complete other side of the country.
Yeah, that way. We're both on the same side. I think we're gonna go that way. I think West is that way. I don't remember where. Yeah, that's like a major event. So I mean, I guess that I guess it depends on your view of the show as a reboot quell or a strict sequel. And if you were looking for a strict sequel, I could see why people might have been butthurt about that a little bit. But I was coming into this more like, this show's been on ice. This series has been on ice for like 7 or 8 years. Like, just bring everybody back, do something new with them. shake it up. Don't make anybody different. You know, Karen doesn't need to come back as like a meth head or anything like that. Foggy doesn't have to come back as he's joined the Aryan Brotherhood and he's a biker now or something weird. Like, no, we dropped them back in, gave them a few minutes. They were just having a little beer at the pub, doing whatever, and then boom, the blender hit, and here we go. So I mean, it worked for me. But I can see when I was hearing people describe why they didn't like it, I'm like, okay. I mean, I can't. That's a great opinion to have. It's interesting for that debate. But I think everything we've gotten after that has worked so far to make me want to watch more. I haven't seen anything that's put me off of the show. Like no bad character designs, no weird decisions. The court stuff was good.
No off-timely jokes.
That's what I mean, dude. There's none of that, and I think, dude, the first time that comes up and some serious shit goes down, and then they make Matt do fake walk of shame crap, like from the other show, which ties into another kind of hilarious bit. I think it was confirmed. I didn't get the headline, or maybe it was just a rumor that was out there. But the folks at Marvel, the folks at the MCU, are like, yeah, no, there's not going to be a She-Hulk cameo on this show. Like they
removed her from the
Echo
banner. She's done.
Right, dude. Yeah, we didn't mention Echo by name. We're not talking about his one night stand in wasn't that also in San Francisco? Wasn't She-Hulk set in San Francisco?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, nah, we're not West Coast Avengering anything with this show. We're staying in New York. But I will point out one more thing that I saw in the show before we move to whatever else we got. I thought it was funny that in every courtroom shot where they're showing the NYPD, it's 40 to 60% women in every shot. Kind of funny. You know why that's funny? Because I Googled what percentage of the active NYPD is female, and it's like 17%. I'm like, okay, so you guys, you called central casting, you snuck a bunch of extras in there, but that's not typically what the NYPD looks like, guys. It's just not. And it stood out. It was enough to stand out to me where I was like, all right, maybe get them out of the front row by half and mix up the box where everybody's sitting, because it's just weird to see like 3 white chicks in a row in NYPD uniforms. It just is. Sorry, I noticed things. That's because they made me notice things.
So one of the other rumors going around with this, and we brought it up that Foggy Nelson has been confirmed for season 2. And
I forgot all about this.
The easy thing you can say is that it's going to be flashbacks or something like that, looking back at his life, but it might not be. And the one that scares the Winterwolf the most is that they're going to do like a multiverse type thing, because we do know Daredevil will be joining the Avengers eventually. We know they're going to be calling and he's going to be coming in, but I don't believe it is. And they have hints in this, and it starts from the very setup. So first, when they leave Murdock, Nelson, and Page, they walk by, and the very next address is 486. Daredevil 486 is the secret life of Foggy Nelson.
Oh, issue 486.
Yeah, issue 486.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Of the comic is the secret life of Foggy Nelson. And in this one, he is shot in the heart. He is being held down and helped by a female, and Matt listens to his heart stop. But he was faking his death with a drug, and it was a squib the whole time.
Dude, he went to the funeral, though. He probably saw the body.
Unless they did a closed casket. And he didn't see anything.
I walked into that joke on my own, and I set myself up for it. It was terrible. Dude, I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know what to think of that. I like that kind of shit in comics because comics are goofy. Even serious comics are kind of goofy. Fake your own death in live action is some Dallas Dynasty shit. Not the football team from like 1,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Like Dallas Dynasty. Drinks in the face, women slapping each other. Dude, how do they pull that off in live action? Let me just ask you, dude. You write, I write. How do you sell this to me in live action? Daredevil heard his best friend's heart stop beating. He sees the expression on his other best friend / semi-love interest's face. There was blood. She was covered in it. We think it was a squib. Dude, you gotta let Bullseye go. Didn't kill him. Gotta overturn that shit.
It's one way to get him out of the raft.
It's a good point. Good point. Is Matt gonna have to defend Bullseye to get him out of the raft? Because that should be wild. I'd sign up for that, dude. I love the 486 on the wall, though. If that track, did you actually double check that?
Yes.
Did you look up like 480? And it is.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's filthy. That's filthy. I like it, but I hate it, dude. I hate it. I'm glad you set up how much I hate the multiverse thing first, because I fucking despise that now. I really do. Like, it's done. Me and the multiverse are over. Like, I can't do that shit. I think it'll just be flashbacks. But if they're gonna go with it, that's the play. I mean, I think that's the play, and I think that let me ask you a math question. Which percentage of people do you think would prefer having Foggy back and kind of undermine the stakes of a death of a character versus people that would just be like, nah, bro, like you shot him. He has to stay dead. Like, do you think this wins over more people than it would upset into not watching season 2 or cheapening out?
I think comic fans would understand because people die and come back in the comics all the time.
6 times since we started the podcast, Superman died.
Yeah, I think comics could get away. Comic fans would give it a little bit more leniency than casuals who are watching and just enjoy the MCU movies and TV shows and stuff like that. I don't think
on-screen folks.
Yeah, just the on-screen folks, I think, wouldn't get it and might be a little bit more hurt. But if they tell the story right, I think they could win everybody over.
Let me ask you this, and you've intrigued me with the issue 486. I'm actually go find it, and I'm going to pop by the LCS tomorrow and see if I can see if they have it. I'm sure there's going to be a major fucking run on them now because I'm sure that if we have the information, other people must have figured this out, and this will happen. There will be a major run on used copies of Daredevil 486. I will try. In the books, do you know what Foggy's motivation was at that exact moment that he had to
I don't know. I have not actually read the comic, but it has him like a secret agent type thing, in which it also plays in. It has it playing when he's stashing clients without Matt knowing. Like, it's playing into like this secret life that he has in those first 15 minutes. He's like, why are you stashing this guy? And he was like, he was freaking out. Like he was thinking on his feet.
Interesting. Well, and he went outside. That was the whole thing. He took the phone call outside. Because he wasn't trying to have Matt know, or was he? I don't know. Dude, that's wild, man. I gotta write it down. 486.
So it could be fun. They could have some fun with this.
Well, you know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to set up the Winter Wolf's Den investigative journal report or something. We have to get like the manila envelope graphic and throw a 486 case file and have Foggy's picture in a black and white. We'll work on it. I'll get my graphic guy on that. I'm the graphic guy. It's gonna be terrible, but I'll do it. I'm not learning Photoshop. It's whatever I can do on Canva on my phone. But yeah, dude. All right, so we're gonna tell people, go watch Daredevil Born Again. I can't conceive vaguely, remotely, how anybody that enjoys the MCU, like real MCU, not phase 4 or 5, real MCU and like the Netflix stuff, how they would not enjoy this show. If you like I was saying before, if you slotted anything from this show into the Netflix run, indistinguishable to me. I'd be like, okay. I enjoyed all 3 seasons of that 10 years ago. Yep. So you guys should go check out the show. I think King will probably agree with me. Okay, there it is. Okay, there we go. All right, before I talk is completely out of time tonight, you saw a movie yesterday.
I did, and we just talked about the good. Let's talk about the bad.
Oh, you're coming down on it too. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure where you were going to go.
So last night, me and the wife went and saw a movie called Mickey 17. If you do recall, back in episode 27, we were kind of high on this, calling it might be the movie of the year, maybe the sci-fi movie of the year. Yep. I don't think it's trying to live up to that hype. So let me start with the story. So you have someone who really wants to get off Earth because of events. I'm going to try not to spoil as much as I can, but it's been out for a week now. So, but if you want to go see it. I will not recommend this movie, especially if you vote a certain way.
And the way he's talking about is the same shade of color as the one behind.
Yes. So you have a guy who wants to get off Earth, and he signs on to a space exploration mission that is going to colonize a new planet, and he signs up because there's so limited spots, he signs up for the one job nobody wants. It's called the Expendable. And what that means is that they've created this new technology where if you die, you've been scanned and all your memories have been saved into a brick. It's a literal brick. And they can just reprint you and upload you with all your memories and feelings. And I think they said he's required to update like every 8 to 12 hours that memory brick. So he always remembers everything that happened so they can interview him after stuff.
Short term. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
This little detail.
So the leader of the expedition is a 2-time failed politician, as it's written in the script, played by Mark Ruffalo. Now, if you didn't hate Mark Ruffalo before, you will definitely hate him after this. Now, they didn't go out and say he's Trump, and he did this funny kind of accent trying to imitate the way he would speak. Really bad. But what gave it away that he was trying to play Trump is when they first show him, he did the little dance. He did the dance. So if you take the political messaging out of this and the evilness of the Mark Ruffalo and his wife's character in this, who's obsessed with sauces for some reason, which makes zero sense. Sauces, like stuff you dip stuff in, sauces.
Okay. Sure. Maybe it's a scarcity in the future. I don't know.
It made zero sense.
It was a quirk. You know how we talked? They randomly assigned on the wheel. They were like, all right, she needs a quirk as a character. Throw the dart at the wheel. Boom, sauces.
Yeah. Well,
no.
If you take the political message out of it, the sci-fi part of it is actually okay. With the human printing, him dying for experiments, him being the first person on this new planet to breathe everything in, and testing him to build a vaccine so all the antigens and the poisons in the air wouldn't kill the people, so they start colonizing this frozen planet. Yes, I will hint at that. It is a frozen planet. So I don't know how they plan on growing crops, but somehow they're going to try to pull this off.
Hydroponics, baby. I don't know.
So, and the big crux of it is that they make kind of enemies with the indigenous life there, named them enemies right off the bat. Once again, political messaging.
Sorry.
And it breaks down with the main character who tries to save everything. And then the life after the plot happens. If I had to give this movie a number, I'm going to put it right around 3-4.
Ooh,
and that's most. Yeah, I don't know how close it is to the source material, which is a book called Mickey 7. So I don't know how close they stayed to the source material. Probably the human printing, and then his name's Mickey. That's my guess. I think they're going to give the World War Z treatment. And yeah, I think the sci-fi stuff was pretty solid. The acting was pretty good. I think Robert Pattinson took this because he got to play such a different type of role.
Yeah,
and he nails it. He was really good in it. I wanted to punch Mark Ruffalo in the face. If I see
you're
him
not
in person,
punch people in the face kind of guy. That's
I might do it.
He's calling you out, Hulk.
So, and he ruined the Hulk. I went back and looked at this. I like Edward Norton Hulk. Like, he was ravaged. He was strong. He was big. And then you have Mark Ruffalo's Hulk.
Yeah. They gave you Professor Hulk, except for that one time he punched the space worm thing in the mouth in Avengers, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was the only time. The rest of the time, he's a wimp.
Kind of a whiny dad.
Yeah, and I think they played it straight off of Mark Ruffalo because he's a whiny.
100%.
Yep.
Dude, that's disappointing, man. I thought I was surprised when I actually saw a trailer for Mickey 17 that it was it's a comedy, right? Like the tone is comedic.
Yes, it is a very dark comedic feel to it. Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that. That wasn't a warning flag for me, but it did kind of pour a little ice water on the interest that I had for it. I thought this was going to be not a hard sci-fi, like kind of terror fest thing, but I thought it was going to be like a straight sci-fi thing with the cloning, the 3D printing, and the die another day thing. Like, was the one with Tom Cruise where he dies on the beach 47,000 times? Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's what I thought that was going to be. And then I heard it was comedic, and I was like, okay, Pattinson can play any role. He's talented. There's no way around that. But then I heard about the Ruffalo stuff, and I was like, oh, did they just make this in like 2019 and it got sat on until it could get back in theaters post-pandemic. Sounds like it.
Yeah, but they got it wrong. He's not a failed 2-time politician. He won the second time.
Dude, and the third time. Oh, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, dude, 3 out of 4 is rough for you because you never shoot low on a 10 scale. That means it had to be thoroughly disappointing just on the weight of that terrible character alone, it sounds like.
It was, and the story's a little, like the way they told the story's a little disjointing as well.
Mm-hmm. And then you just knock any points. I know when people were talking about messaging outside of the fascist stuff, people were talking about like global warming and colonization, and there were a couple of other buzzwords that get thrown around a lot in American and Western politics that they said just crap all over this and just crapped on whatever Pattinson was doing with the Die a Thousand Days stuff. So that's disappointing. It's like that's going to be a pass for me. And when we look back on our most expected or best or most anticipated of 2025, I have to be like, nope, didn't see that, because I'm not gonna. Life's too short to spend 2 hours in a bad movie. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh well. I don't know how much time we got left. Do we want to?
We got time.
We got time. Do you want to do this one, or do you want to sit on this for a bigger discussion?
Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do this. I mean, why not? All right.
Here, as well.
Go ahead and bring up that Nets picture there. So this is the picture of Snape.
No, it's not.
Yes,
no,
yes, it is. Nope. According to casting, this man, Pape Estrudo.
Close enough. I don't know. We're terrible at names. I don't have it on my screen to phonetically do it for you. And dude, this is such a bad idea. Dude, we were talking about this, I think, like 8 months ago, where this was just a rumor. This was like a rumor over like last summer, I think. And I was like, coming into the show, heard a lot of good things. HBO put out a bunch of good stuff. We're going to try and get something closer to the books. We're going to do 1 book per season. We're going to go all 8 seasons, this and that. Here we are. How did we get here? How did this happen?
And see, here's the problem. He's probably a fine actor. He'd probably pull off the role.
Probably.
It's just the part that gets everybody.
Visual medium.
And there was so much, there was a lot of hate, even from some of the African-American content creators out there saying they're hurt that, because HBO producers came out and said that it's going to be more like the book. Yeah. And how is he described in the book? He has
pallid and sickly,
with a long pointed nose and long greasy hair.
I think a prosthetic the hell out of that stuff. It's the other 2 things that are the sticking point. And there's no way around it, man. Dude, it's a visual medium. I'd no more want this guy to be Snape than I would want Hulk Hogan to be Hermione. Period. Like, that's all it is. Anything beyond that is projection by other people and seeing racist fake boogeymen where there aren't any. This is a terrible casting call. Terrible. And I don't fault this guy for getting a job. That's not his fault. To cash the checks, leave his family alone, leave his kids alone. Don't follow him on Twitter and harass the guy. This is HBO's fault. Whoever decided this was the play, dead ass wrong, which brings me to my next math question for the day. What percentage of the audience did they just turn off with this decision? Because people already have the books they love. People already mostly have movies they love for most of the movies. So the percentage of people hyped for the show was already lower because people already had good versions of what they wanted. There are plenty of people that were already asking, why do we need this? Oh, you're going to give us more of the books that we loved? Okay. So now where are they? How many people did they lose?
And one thing is going to be really hard is that he has to follow Alan Rickman.
Right.
How hard is that going to be? Now, I mean, if you really wanted the perfect casting, even though he's not British, and I know they're trying to lean strictly to British characters. Adam Driver. He's right there.
Right there. And right there. Looks just like him.
But his British accent might be like horrendous.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Dude can act. I mean, you get him a dialect coach for a month, and I'm sure he could do it.
Dialect coach for maybe 6 months.
I don't know that shit. He's talented.
Do you remember his voice as Rillos, whatever his name was in the Last Skywalker?
I'm calling him Emo Ren.
Yeah,
no, because that movie doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I said it.
He would need a dialect coach for a little bit longer than a month.
Fine, get it. I'll pay. Like I don't care. Just go do that, because this is stupid. The other they're gonna run it, and I can see why they did this, and this is the cynic in me coming out. This is what folks are saying, right? we got this guy in because we're going to modify we're now able to include Western political bullshit in this hiring, because now when Lily Potter doesn't go for this guy, what can we say? Racist. Now when James Potter tortures this dude, you know what I mean, harasses him in school, what do we get to say now? Racist bully. And I can so see them cooking with that when it's just unnecessary. Like the world already agrees that James Potter's a dick for what he did. We're all on board with that. We don't need this additional level of what they're going to pile on to make it contemporary. That's wholly unnecessary. And dude, it's going to happen. 100% they're going to cook that in. They won't be able to help themselves from adding that unnecessary level of James Potter, evil white dude, and here's not Snape. This is just a bad idea, dude. This is terrible. And what sucks about it is once you make the announcement, there's never any backtrack from it. Like, how do you can't reverse course? You're not going to unsign the guy.
Yeah.
Here we are. Man, this has Last of Us Season 2 with Abby written all over. Last of Us Game 2 written all over it. Terrible idea. Shouldn't have happened. In 3 years when this show is over, because there's no shot they're getting 8 seasons now. This is going to be Rings of Power on HBO, which is too bad. Too damn bad, because they were on a hot streak for a lot of the stuff we were watching. What can we do? Chris, probably because I don't think they can help themselves there either, man. I think that'll probably be the thing, or Dumbledore and McGonagall being a throuple with who was the gardening teacher there? I can't remember.
Hathgar.
I don't remember. Whatever. Pick a throuple. They'll do it. They'll do it because they can't help it. Whatever, man. That was such a kick in the balls for that show. Now I'm pissed. But do we know when The Last of Us Season 2 is coming out? Isn't that this year soon too?
It's April.
That's also April?
That is also April.
Andor and The Last of Us in the same month?
Yeah, we're gonna be busy, bro.
Dude, we're gonna be busy, but it's gonna be a tale of two shows. It's gonna be a good show and a bad show. It'll be awesome. We'll see how that goes. But I think we've done, actually, since PTI is off the air now, we can probably borrow their logo and be like, covered all our bases. We handled all the topics for the night. So yeah.
Hey, Stat Oracle, what did we get wrong?
I know, right? Everything except what you said about Daredevil, probably. But all right, I think that's gonna do it for us. Guys, remember next week, Daredevil's on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then the week after that, it's 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. You got a double dose in 2 weeks of Daredevil. And we'll cover it all the next night on our FrostCast, Wednesday nights at 9. So, King Z, you have the floor for the profound and thank you and sincere goodbye.
Well, see ya.